Hi, everybody. Today we are going to talk all things escrow, and I am going to introduce Kaitlyn, who I am so glad is here with us. Kaitlyn, if you want to tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jessie. I'm super excited to be here today and kind of go over the escrow process with everyone. I'm Kaitlyn Oberly. I am the Partner Success Director here at SeedTrust Escrow. Been in the industry about 8 years and been with SeedTrust since 2019. And just excited to kind of go into more detail about what escrow is, why it's needed, and kind of go over some high topic areas and questions that we frequently get asked.
Thank you so much. This is going to be so helpful for our intended parents. And just to sort of set the stage, could you tell us all what is escrow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like when usually people get asked, what escrow is, they think in terms of like a mortgage or a home, like
Yes,
you got
I
to put
did.
money into escrow for a home. And so people don't really realize that an escrow account is very necessary for, a surrogacy journey. And really what is it is a centralized account that is managed by a third party provider, where funds are going to be dispersed based off of a contract that the intended parents sign with their surrogate. So it's pretty much just an account that funds are deposited into, and those funds are processed based off of a legal agreement between yourself and your surrogate.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And what does the escrow account do? So once the intended parents have, completed their legal contract, what does the escrow account do for them?
Yeah, so the escrow account really is just a centralized account that allows intended parents to deposit the amount of funds that has been agreed upon in their agreement. It's an account that pretty much is going to take care of those surrogate payments or any type of payments that are necessary for your surrogacy journey. Really, the advantages of this account is to allow all of your surrogates like base compensations to come from it, maybe any medical bills you want to take care of for your surrogate, your attorney fees, um, any type of expenses that is related to that surrogacy journey or that needs to be paid directly to your surrogate. It's an account that kind of gives everyone a peace of mind knowing that the funds are available, they're specifically for our surrogacy journey. And then we kind of make it a little seamless with SeedTrust because all of the surrogates payments are going to get sent to her via direct deposit. So all parties are going to be able to see this. They're going to have a copy of their ledger. They're going to see, what payments are going in and out of escrow. And it just really gives a lot of transparency between the surrogate and the intended parents and gives everyone kind of a peace of mind knowing that, those payments are going to be able to be taken care of and that there are enough funds available for the surrogacy journey.
Yes, you took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking peace of mind is the first thing that I think of when I think of escrow. And I like to share too with intended parents. You can almost set it and forget it for the most part. Once you upload the legal contract, they really, your escrow agent really knows the ins and outs of your journey and what the monthly allowance is, any payouts, med starts, you name it, and along with her base compensation, and you can focus on all of the fun things about the journey and getting, ready for, med starts and hopefully a pregnancy soon.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the goal with us. We just really want to make it a seamless process, just because there's so much other important factors. You're having a family, you're preparing for a family. The last thing you want to worry about is to make sure that payments are going out on time. For your surrogates, or last thing surrogates want to worry about is, oh, hold on, is there enough funds in escrow to take care of this medical bill? No one wants to worry about that. So that's what we really strive to do, is to make the process as seamless as possible. All parties are notified anytime payments go out of the account, whether those scheduled payments are going out, based off of if your surrogate's pregnant, or if any type of travel payments are going out. Everyone's receiving notification letting you know, hey, this payment's been dispersed and this is when you can expect to receive it. So yeah, just we're trying to make it as streamlined as possible and as seamless as possible, just so that intended parents and surrogates can focus on building the family and their relationship.
Absolutely. And it sort of takes the money and like some of those conversations out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the payments as well are actually not most, all payments are vetted per the terms of the gestational surrogacy agreement. So, also having that escrow account, we're acting as a third party, meaning we're completely neutral to both the intended parents and the surrogate. So, we're taking that also out, regarding how the payments are being processed because we're following what's been agreed upon in the agreement. So, whenever those payments are due, if the monthly allowance needs to go out on the first of the month, we're making sure that payment goes out on the first of the month. And if there's documentation for lost wages, we're gonna be the ones that kind of take that on and make sure that those lost wages are calculated per the agreement. And so it kind of takes those conversations away from the intended parents and surrogates directly having to have them, because we're the ones that's gonna make sure that those are being processed in accordance to the agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. And another question that I get asked a lot, and maybe you do too, is I know the surrogate, they're my sister-in-law, they're my friend. Why should I still hold escrow? So I'd love for you to speak to that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear that a lot too, especially because, of course, family, friends, you have that trust with them. I think it's still such a good idea to hold an escrow account. Again, just going back on providing that full transparency and letting a third party kind of be the middleman, taking those conversations out around, money and payments, just because that can be stressful. No one likes to talk about money with, each other. I mean, it doesn't matter how close you are. And so having a third party just really be able to take that on and that conversation piece on, and making sure that everything's just very transparent, that I think it just makes the relationship go a long way, because in the end those payments are going to be processed based off of what you agreed upon in that legal agreement. And if there are any type of, hey, well, this interpret it this way, I interpret this provision this way, having a third party provider is going to kind of help buffer, the interpretations of that, and us be able to take that on to process those payments.
Absolutely. This has been so helpful. And I have one final question for you,
Yeah.
Kaitlyn. For intended parents that are shopping around and deciding, what escrow company to use, what would you say are like the top two questions they should ask when they're looking or doing their research on which escrow company to go with?
Absolutely. This is such a great question, and it has come up very frequent, probably the past several months. I would say the biggest thing you want to look for in an escrow provider is you want to go with someone who is first licensed and insured, and that they have enough coverage to make sure your funds are secure in the escrow account. With SeedTrust, we have a $50 million policy in place. That's an error and omissions policy. That's any type of misappropriation of funds. Your funds as intended parents are going to be covered. That's huge. That is something you want to make sure you're asking escrow providers is how much insurance, do you have in place, and also ask for a copy of that agreement, that insurance agreement, to show that that is the actual coverage, that they are obtaining. That would be my first thing to really look for. My second would be make sure that there are several different types of security in place. You want to make sure that not one individual within that escrow is submitting payments, approving payments, and dispersing them. There needs to be several different departments that have different controls in place to make sure that there's oversight. That's the biggest thing with escrow is, you need to have several different people making sure that payments are being processed correctly, and that not the same individual submitting a payment can also approve and disperse that payment. With SeedTrust, we have a few different departments in place that there's not one individual within our organization that can approve and disperse a payment. So it has to go through several different departments. So I would say the two biggest thing is to make sure that your escrow provider has enough insurance and bond to cover the funds in the escrow account, and also make sure that there's different security measures in place and not one individual within that organization can approve and disperse those funds.
That is so helpful. It's almost like checks and balances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. I know this is so helpful for all of the intended parents watching this, getting ready. Hopefully, you're wrapping up legal and getting ready to start escrow if you're listening to this. And, you can reach out to myself. As a reminder, I have my weekly office hours, or I'm happy to put you in touch with Kaitlyn as well if you want to share your contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. You can email me. My email is Kaitlyn at SeedTrustEscrow.com. You can also send me a text message, phone call. My number is 850-348-0449. I'm always available and happy to assist in any way I can or answer any questions you have.
Thanks again for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jessie.